Hello everyone, welcome to the session on multiple alleles. In the previous sessions, we discussed about the Mendelian inheritances, the different principles of Mendelian inheritance, which was followed by the different types of interactions. Other than that, was explained by Mendel. We discussed were allelic interactions and the non-allelic interactions, which was followed by polygenes, etc. So in this session, we are going to discuss about multiple alleles. In that, we'll be taking the example of blood group, ABO blood group system in man. So coming to multiple alleles, so from the name itself, there are three or more alternate forms of a particular gene which is controlling a particular character or a trait is called as multiple alleles. So when we discussed the Mendel inheritances as well as the allelic and some of the non-allelic interactions, we considered only two alleles for a particular gene. But we are now discussing the particular uh, situation or a particular phenomenon where a particular character is controlled by more than three alleles or three or more alleles of a particular gene rather than two that we discussed earlier. So all the variants are hypothesized to be originated due to mutation of the single type gene. So actually, there was a single type gene in the past, and that got mutated, and that resulted in the several alternative forms. And that alternative forms of a particular gene, which is controlling or alternate forms of the alleles of a particular gene, which is controlling a particular character or a particular trait, is referred to as multiple alleles. As the alleles, they are of the same gene, all the alleles they occupy the same locus. And one of the main example is the ABO blood group in man. So even though there are more alternate forms for multiple alleles, only two will be present on the homologous chromosomes for a diploid organism. So if we consider a particular allele with three, for say, consider a gene. So now we are going to consider a gene with, for example, I'm considering a gene which is called as A gene, and this A gene is having three forms, which is A one, then A two, and A 3. So this is just for sake of example. So consider an gene. So you have the gene which is called as the A gene, which is having three alleles, which you can definitely consider it as multiple alleles. And what we said here is that even though there are three alleles, these three together will not be present in a diploid organism. Any combination can be present depending upon their parental genotypes. For example, one individual may be having A1 and A2 because diploid individuals will have only two alleles in a homologous chromosome, and in such cases, depending upon the parent, a particular individual will have either A1, A2, or another individual will have A2, A3, or another individual will be having A1, A3, etc. So, depending upon the genetic constitution of the parent, from the set of multiple alleles, two will be present. So, multiple allele does not mean that a particular organism will be having many alleles of that particular gene. That gene is having many alleles. The thing is that when you talk about multiple alleles, that particular gene is having many alleles in the population. And if you consider a particular individual, that particular individual will be having, if it is a diploid individual, that particular individual will be having two from that group. If we consider the example that we discussed here, among the three, two will be present in a particular individual. So different combinations are possible in the case of multiple alleles. So we are directly moving on to the ABO blood group system. So before discussing the ABO blood group system, we'll consider the basics of the RBC structure, etc. Because the ABO blood group system mainly depends upon the surface morphology or the surface structures of uh, the RBC. So coming to the RBC, so RBC, this is RBC or erythrocytes. They are mainly concerned with oxygen transport. They are part of the circulatory system. They are one of the formed elements of the circulatory system, and these cells are mainly concerned with oxygen transport, and they contain this oxygen carrying pigment, which is a multi protein complex consisting of four protein chains plus a pigment molecule, which is called as a heme, etc., being which gives the RBC the characteristic red color. As you can see here, the shape of the RBC, it is biconcave disc. It is disc shaped, which is very thin, and it is biconcave. At the center, you can see a curvature. In both the sides, you can see such a curvature. So it is a biconcave disc. This particular shape is having many features because of the mode it is being transmitted into smaller capillaries, into very minute capillaries, etc. This particular structure helps the RBC without undergoing a rupture when it is moving through very small capillaries. So RBC, it lacks a nucleus. It does not have a nucleus, organelles, etc. It is devoid of all the organelles. The entire RBC is just stuffed with. You can use the term stuffed with itself. It is stuffed with the particular protein which is responsible for carrying oxygen, and that is the hemoglobin. And it neither reproduces nor carry any extensive metabolic activities. It does not reproduce, and it usually replenishes, or the lifetime of a particular RBC is 120 days. After 120 days, it is destroyed in the spleen, and new RBCs are being generated in 120 days. So coming to the membrane, their flexible and strong plasma membrane allow them to deform without rupturing as they squeeze through narrow capillaries. That is what I mentioned earlier. Because of the membrane, their membrane is very strong and also flexible, so that they can deform themselves. Because when they move in the smaller capillaries, they have to squeeze through the capillaries. They cannot move intact in smaller capillaries. In larger vessels, they move freely, but when RBCs are moving in very small capillaries, what happens is that the RBC, it squeezes itself when it passes through the narrow capillaries. So the membrane of the RBC comprises of the normal phospho. So it is also made of this normal phospholipid bilayer, and there are some specific features of specific modifications on the plasma membrane that makes the membrane of RBC so flexible and strong, of which the main one to be mentioned is the underlying meshwork of the protein molecules called as the meshwork of protein, called as a network of protein, which is called as the spectrin. So these pectin molecules, along with another protein called as ankyrin, which is part of the cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton means it is the proteins which are seen just below the plasma membrane. They support the plasma membrane and is largely responsible for the shear elastic properties of the RBC. It is because of this pectin and ankyrin, the RBC is capable of squeezing through the very small capillaries without rupturing or changing their shape, etc. And certain glycoproteins which is present on the plasma membrane of RBCs, they are considered as antigens and they account for the blood groups. So coming to this, if you zoom into the structure of the membrane, as you can see here, so this is the RBC, a cross section of the RBC, and you can see the zoom in structure of the membrane. So this particular portion is the normal bilipid membrane, as you can see here. And as we mentioned, below the membrane you have the cytoskeleton here, and in the cytoskeleton you can see spectrin. So there are different types of spectrin like alpha, beta, etc., and you can also see the other ones which are called as the ankyrin, which is shown here. So these are the molecule, these two are the main ones which is responsible for the elastic properties of for contributing to the elastic properties of the RBC membrane. Coming to the other ones which you see here, band 3 and glycophorin, etc., they are just channels that is present on the channels which are present on the ion channels which are present on the RBC membrane. And glycophorin, as the name suggests, it is a protein channel. And glycophorin, you can see tree-like structures or branches-like structures. These branches are nothing but the attached sugar residues over the protein. So you can see many membrane protein and many types of branches are there. So each branch is nothing but they are sugar molecules which are attached to the protein, attached to the protein, making them glycoproteins. Of this, the glycophorin A, which you can see here, is very important in RBC in the sense that this glycoprotein, glycophorin A, is having attached to it the particular monosaccharide or the branches which are called as sialic acids. So, the glycophorin A is an abundant protein or the membrane protein that is found on RBC membrane. And this is started with these branches are nothing but the monosaccharide or the carbohydrates which are called as sialic acid. And sialic acid is usually having a negative charge. So you can just imagine this entire surface of RBC with negative charges. So there are many branches, many glycophorin, which is imparting the negative charges. As a result, when another so if you another RBC come near it, what happens is this is also negative, this one is also negative, so it repels. And this the sialic acid or the presence of sialic acid is the reason why, in normal circumstances, but in certain circumstances, when you get a wound, etc., the RBC clumps, etc., or RBC forms clumps. But in normal situations, RBC does not form clumps; they always stay away from each other. And the particular thing that helps them to stay away from each other is this sialic acid molecule that is present on the glycophorin, which is the membrane protein. To have a special mention on the membrane is nothing but these particular structures, which are the glycoprotein or the carbohydrate residues which are attached to the protein molecules, protein or the integral proteins of the membrane. And this you have some carbohydrates which are considered as antigens, and these are carbohydrates, not sialic acid. There are many other carbohydrates attached to these are not the only protein structures that you see in the membrane. There are many protein transmembrane proteins that you see in the on the RBC. And those proteins are studded with this particular, or they are attached with this carbohydrate residue. Of that, some carbohydrate residues are acting as antigens, and they are responsible for the grouping of the ABO blood grouping and also RH. So the ABO blood grouping system that we are going to see, and also the RH blood grouping system that we'll discuss later, is mainly based on these particular the presence or absence of some of the specific carbohydrate residues on the membrane. So presence of some carbohydrate residue may designate the blood as some particular type. The absence may be designated as some other types. So this is about the general structure. This is about general structure of the RBC, where we discussed about the membrane, etc. So directly moving on to the ABO blood group system. So with this, we'll wind up this first session. We'll be discussing the ABO blood group in man in the next session. Thanks for hearing.